Hey, leaders, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going live on both Facebook and YouTube. Let me hit the live button on Facebook, actually. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Tuesday. As you're coming in, let me know where you are watching this from. And if you are new to this community, do me a favor and go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I would love, love, love for you to be part of our leadership community. This channel is for those individuals who want to grow in their voice, identity, and purpose, and to be able to prosper as leaders. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Welcome, welcome, welcome on Facebook. I actually was undecided if I was going to go live here, but I'm going to go live on both my Facebook and my YouTube. As you're coming in, let me know where you are watching this live video from. And also, I would love for you to type in the comments hashtag replay if you end up watching this replay. We are going to discuss how to overcome distractions as leaders. And so I want us to be able to be prosperous, and I want us to not lose the plot this year. I feel like so many times we go into assignments, we go into things, and we are excited about the year. We're excited about this new promotion. We're excited about a transition, and then we end up losing the plot because we don't understand really why did God send us somewhere? What was our specific assignment when he sent us to this specific place? And so tonight, I hope to ground us and to bring us back to what the plot is. Why did God send you where he sent you? And I'm going to talk about my own journey as well. And so what I've been learning even throughout this year, throughout my journey as a leader, and how I've lost the plot several times when God was trying to get me to focus on something and then I veered off. Welcome. If you are new to our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Would love for you to be a part of our community. And if you are watching, I want you to press the like button as well. Please make sure to like this video. And if you can share this with people who want to be developed as leaders, please go ahead and do that as well. All right, I'm going to jump in because I'm not going to be on that long. But one of the things that actually brought me to this point of doing this particular live, and I feel like every time I jump on here these days, most of the time we're talking about not losing the plot, and we're talking about staying focused, staying grounded on where God has called us. And I feel like sometimes we look so much on the outward things, of the physical things that we're building as leaders and the assignments that God has given us. But do we understand that one of the greatest assignments that God has given us, no matter where he sends us, no matter where he deploys us, our greatest assignment is to make sure that we are loving people well. Our greatest assignment is to make sure that we are presenting the love of God more than anything else. One of the things God was convicting me about is that most of the time we focus on quantitative goals. We just focus on goals that have numbers and statistics and data. And we allow that to drive us. We allow that to give us our cues. We allow that to be the thing that motivates us in the morning instead of what it is that God has called us to do. And so one of the greatest things that God has called us to do is to make sure that the biggest distraction, especially for me as a leader, that I've been jumping out of was focusing too much on data, statistics. We obviously know I'm an educator. And so sometimes we can get so wrapped up in those specific numbers that it hinders us from doing the thing that God told us to do, which is to love people well. One of the biggest cases that I got, when a biggest reality case that I got, was when I was in Mississippi and I was teaching, and I was putting in all my effort. I was working over the weekends. I was putting in all this energy to make sure that my students were able to be prepared for the state test and to be prepared for their next grade, because some of them were going to high school. I was teaching 6th through 8th grade. And I remember one day when one of the students, I thought I was doing all these things out of love, and I thought this was how I was showing love. And I remember one day one student felt like, or I overheard something where some students were talking about how they didn't feel a connection with me or how they didn't feel loved. And I was like, what? Because I was thinking, like, did you not know me coming to work every day, me doing the most, doing the absolute most, spending my weekends creating this stuff and going to all these different things to get better and better, was me really putting in all my effort into this, was me showing, hey, I really love you and I really want you to be successful. And I know that one of the ways you're going to be successful is through education. And so I had to learn that was actually not the thing that was going to be transformative, and the greatest thing that was going to transform people's lives, or the greatest thing that was going to propel me, or was going to leave a great impact on what I was doing, was actually how well I was showing love, how I was displaying love. And so I feel like one of the distractions we need to overcome is being so wrapped up in having our position, whatever position God has given you, whatever title God has allowed you to have. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the title, and we allow our identity to be stuck in that title and what we produce to hinder us from loving people well, because we're more focused on getting to a specific goal, getting to a specific number. And obviously you have to do your job, right? Obviously you have to meet certain metrics, but making sure that we are not pushing people out of the way, or we're bulldozing individuals, or we are negating to understand that we're dealing with certain people, and that if we ignore them, or we ignore what people need, or we ignore what people are in need of, it's going to cause us not to be, or it's going to cause us not to love people well. And so the greatest distraction is, one of the greatest distractions is losing the plot of loving people well. Our biggest assignment is the people that's around us, and losing the plot when we're just thinking, oh, we're here to push numbers, we're here to just push data and statistics and information. No, what if God was calling you to that place because he wanted to display agape love to the people that you are called to? What if God was calling you to that place because there was something that you had, there was a word of encouragement, there was a word of deliverance, there was something that you had inside, that you have inside of you, that you were supposed to disseminate or give to that specific people group? And so I want us to be focused on that. And the second thing, when we are called to build other people, or when God has given you the assignment to build people, and all of us have been given that assignment. If you're a leader, if you have a responsibility over people, you have an assignment to build people. I want you to type in the comments, build people, if you are going to do that in this next season of your life. If you know you're going to focus on building up people, building them up through the use of love. The second thing that I was talking about here is that the other distraction that we get is that when people don't mature on our timeline, we get angry, we get upset. And a lot of us don't notice that. We think that people are supposed to be here in X amount of months, or we think, oh, how come you're not as far as we hope that we think that you're supposed to be? How come you haven't elevated, or you haven't moved to this next position? Why are you still here? And so why are you still in this position? So sometimes we don't realize that we are not moving, or we are not loving people well, and we're being distracted because we have a timeline on people's growth. We have a timeline on when someone should change. I remember God convicted me one year because I was getting kind of annoyed because I was using the same tactics, using the same principles that I learned on being a teacher, on how to help a particular student. And then it was like almost the end of the year, and I'm freaking out because I'm like, wow, you still have not changed. Like nothing has happened. And now I'm upset, and I'm losing the plot, and I'm not focusing on, it's not my responsibility on when you grow, if you grow, what happens. My only responsibility was that I was available to be used by God. My only responsibility is that I said yes, I submitted, and I was steadfast, and I stayed in the process, and I allowed myself to be used by God, to partner with God, so that I could be a vessel of love, a vessel of light, a vessel in this particular situation. And sometimes, what if God just wants you to be a vessel? And most of the time, he wants us to be a vessel. And sometimes we want to add all these extra things. We want to add all these extra parameters. And God said, no, I just need a vessel for this season. I need some to plant, some to water, and it's God that gives the increase. And so you never know what you may have said that can turn someone else's life around years later. One of the things that even happened for me, if you even think about your own journey, but when I think about my own journey and me getting to salvation, the only reason why I was able to fully turn over to God is because I had all these different words deposited inside of me. I had all this different type of encouragement that was deposited inside of me. And then one day, all of the words that people spoke over me, the mentors, the leaders that I had over me, all of those words came flooding back to my memory. And I was able to say, oh my gosh, you know what? in every instance, this was a person that was sent to me by God and is showing me that I should probably give my life over to Christ. I probably should be more serious about my relationship with God because all of these people have poured into me. And that's the same thing that they all had in connection, was that they showed the love of God. And so we lose the plot when we say, oh, this person hasn't changed on time, or this has not happened in this time frame. And so now you get upset and you move out of position, you move out of alignment because you don't see things happening, or you don't see that particular person that you feel like you were assigned to changing or growing. And I'm not saying that we should just continue to, like, if someone is, being abusive, or they're not changing at all and they're actually being stubborn, because another distraction too is that sometimes we stay too long because we are too merciful. So there's some people that don't have enough mercy. And then on the other side, there's some of us that are too merciful, and we give people 30, 40, 50 chances, and they stab us behind the back and they cause betrayal. And we say, you know what, I'm going to keep on going. And you're still being distracted because maybe God is allowing multiple things to happen for you to get a signal like, maybe I should pause on this particular relationship. Maybe my assignment with this particular people group or this particular person is over with, and now it's time for me to transition into something else. And so the number one thing I said is that we need to figure out, are we loving people well? Number two, are you putting people on a timeline of growth? Are you telling them when they should grow? And then number three, are you staying too long? Are you being too merciful? Are you being a person that is overwhelming? And there's people that are overwhelming with mercy, and you don't say the thing. You don't say the obvious thing that people are dealing with. You don't say the obvious thing that people need to deal with. What if the person does need to be rebuked, does need to be corrected, and you are not saying anything because you are afraid of what they're going to say to you? You're afraid of what their feelings are going to be, and you are not focused on what your specific assignment is. And so if your specific assignment in that position is to help someone to grow, is to help someone to have clarity about who they are, clarity about their job title, clarity about who God has called them to be, and you sit back because you're like, oh, I don't want to cause too much trouble, or oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. If you're an apostolic leader, if you're a person that's called, you probably will ruffle some feathers because somebody hasn't called them up higher. And so your distraction is that you want to be liked by everyone. You are a people pleaser. And we got to get out of that, because what if God sent you because you have something very specific that's going to sharpen them? And if they don't get this type of sharpening and this type of development, they're not going to be ready for their next season. Your responsibility is not to see how they're going to feel, how they're going to respond. That's not your responsibility. Our responsibility is never to manage anyone else's emotions, because people's emotions are going to just do what they do. You're going to be held accountable for what you did with your leadership position. You're going to be held accountable for what you know that you heard God tell you to do, or what you knew was right to do, and you decided not to do that right thing because you were focused on people pleasing. We all know the story of Saul. We all know that one of his biggest downfalls is that he was a people pleaser. We know that he was more focused on the people that he could see, and he was not focused on his assignment that God gave him. He wasn't focused on the assignment specifically when they went to go fight, that he had a specific assignment. The prophet told him, Samuel told him exactly what he was supposed to do, and he didn't fulfill the assignment. And a lot of us, we don't want that to happen to us. We don't want for God to say you didn't fulfill your assignment. And also we don't want that to happen anyways, because if you don't fulfill it, he's going to make you stay in it until you do what he asked you to do. So none of us want that to happen. And then lastly, another biggest thing that hinders a lot of us and that we all need to overcome is that negative self-talk. I was talking and I was just preparing for this. And one of the things that God was reminding me of is the fact that a lot of us, especially if you're an overachiever, many of us have these experiences where we are too critical and too harsh on ourselves. And some of you, maybe you have been through a upbringing where maybe your parents were too critical, or maybe your guardian, whoever raised you, may have been super critical. And so now when you make mistakes, when you are not doing the right thing and you have to come back sometimes, or when you think something didn't turn out the way you thought it was supposed to turn out, sometimes you speak to yourself in a negative fashion. Sometimes you speak to yourself in a harsh manner. And I just want to ask you, if you had a coach and you paid your coach money to develop you, would you pay that person if they just spoke harshly and nasty to you? If they said, wow, you're so stupid, why did you make that decision? Would you pay somebody money for just criticizing you? Or do you actually want constructive criticism? Do you want feedback that's actually going to develop and help you? And so we got to get out of the phase of thinking that if you speak negatively to yourself, that maybe you're not going to make the same mistake. No, we erase, or we are able to knock down our mistakes or not fall into the same traps if we learn and we receive wisdom and we receive better principles and we apply those principles to our life, right? And so that's what wisdom is, being able to have an application of the knowledge that we have. And so you being self-critical, you having negative self-talk, you tearing yourself down, you not forgiving yourself. Because even with me, I had to forgive myself many times when I'm like, ooh, I lost the plot in that instance. Oh, I lost the plot in that classroom. Oh, in that day. And I just had to say, you know what? God forgive me. And a lot of us, we're losing the plot because you want to stay in a place of self-pity. You want to stay in a place of self-degradation. You want to, some of us do self-aggrandizement, but that's another live for a different day. But some of us, we stay in a place where we just continue to speak negatively, and we have harmful words being played over and over again in our mindset. And that helps us to not move forward. That causes us to lose the plot. And we stay so focused on ourselves and what we did wrong that it actually hinders our ability to be used in a greater capacity, because now you are stuck in your own mind and you're stuck in yourself and you're too self-absorbed and you're thinking about all the wrong that you've done, and you're not allowing God to share with you, okay, how can you become better? How can you become a better leader going forward? And we know that we have the opposite of King Saul, which is David, where he was rebuked and he was able to listen and he was able to hear and he was able to repent and he was able to put sackcloth over himself and he was able to say, you know what, I really did mess up and I want to do better going forward. He was singing his psalms, he was singing repentance, and he moved forward, but not continuously, talking about himself, but really lifting up who God is in this situation. I know that you messed up, but guess what? You serve a God that can cover your sins. You serve a God that can actually correct you. And you know what's so good too about God is that you are still sensitive enough to be convicted to do better. Because there are some people who don't even feel the conviction of God and continue to move forward in their erroneous behavior. And you should be excited because you feel the conviction of God and you desire to do better. Not that you feel the conviction and you feel guilty, because guilt doesn't come from God. Conviction is, okay, I recognize that I'm wrong here and I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to have accountability. And that's one of our distractions as leaders. We lose the plot because we don't want to take accountability for our bad behaviors. Even today, God had to check me when I wanted to just say something back about something that I didn't get to do. And then, God's like, just go ahead and say sorry. Just go ahead and apologize, because you didn't even do the right thing. Just go ahead, it was your bad. You didn't read it. Go ahead and say sorry and keep it moving. And that's how you don't lose the plot. Many of us lose the plot because we want to explain away. We want to say why. We want to have all these excuses. And I'm going to tell you right now, especially if you lead other people, you lead a big group of people, you're a manager, whatever. Lots of people don't really care about your excuses. They don't want to hear nothing about, oh, you had a tough night. They don't. Some of them they're not compassionate. And I know that you're saying, okay, but why do I have to be? Because you are a leader of leaders. And so it is what it is. There's nothing, I can't sugarcoat this. This is a message that you just got to hear. People don't really care about your excuses. They just want you, what they do respect is you taking accountability. What people do respect is that you recognize what you did wrong and you take accountability and you work towards fixing that. That's how we don't lose the plot. I want you to type in the comments, don't lose the plot. If we're going to be grounded in our assignment, and tonight I talked mostly about our assignment with people groups, with particular people, because all of us are assigned to specific people. All of us are assigned to specific people groups. You're assigned to a specific team. And so maybe you're going through something right now where you're like, man, this is a very difficult team. There's somebody on my team that's very difficult for me to love or for me to honor. What if God put them in that specific arena or put them around you in your atmosphere so that you can grow and be developed in the place of love and compassion? Because it's so easy for us to just love people that look like us, love people that talk like us, love people that think like us. But guess what? If we are really going to live out agape and we are really going to say the scripture, greater is he that's within me. If we're really going to live those things out, we have to trust God to move through us and to share that agape love through us. And also the number one thing that he's doing is making sure that we die to ourselves, making sure that we are not led by our flesh, making sure that we're not led by our own desires, our own selfish ambitions, putting those things to rest. Because oftentimes you find out that when you're clashing with someone, when you are really like, you are irritated with this particular person, maybe God is trying to show you something about what is going on inside of you. And again, you lose the plot because you just want to blame that person on how they're so ratchet, how something is wrong with them. And you lost the plot that God was trying to show you something about you. Because why are you so offended about what this person did? There's a root cause to why you're so offended, and God allowed it to happen so that we can look at the root. And this is why we're saying don't get distracted. You got to look at the root of something as to why you're upset, why you're angry with this particular. Hey, Miss Jones, why you're upset, why you're irritated with that person. Maybe God put you in that specific bubble so that you can grow, you can develop. One of the things I'm continuously trying to do every season, I know if I'm around people that I don't really care for, I'm always trying to figure out, okay, how can I become a better leader? And how can I learn what not to do? Because sometimes God will bring people around you that are a mess and that are ratchet and that maybe they're not a good leader, because God is trying to show you what you should not look like, what you should not do, how you should not respond. And I love that. And so sometimes we just have to go through that. I remember when I used to teach in a specific state. I'm not going to say which state it is. And everyone knows I've taught in a lot of different states. But I could not wait to get out of that place. I was like, Lord, please get me out of here. And I remember one day I was getting frustrated. I was getting angry. I was so like almost to the point of bitterness because I was going through so much with these particular people. And I remember God showing me one day, I am allowing you to just go through this because I want you to learn what not to do. So you sitting up here getting upset, you sitting up here getting angry, and you're losing the plot. I'm trying to develop you as a leader. I'm trying to share with you how you should not mishandle people, and you're so focused on woe is me. Oh, I'm so angry, and you're not focused on, okay, what am I learning? What is God trying to show me about what I shouldn't be doing? And how can I avoid these in the future? And sometimes it has to happen to you so that you don't do it to other people. And sometimes we learn our lessons better that way. For whatever reason, we all are wired differently, and God knows exactly what you need so that you can be developed as a leader. And again, this is why we shouldn't lose the plot, because you are so focused on outward entities, and God's like, I need to just focus on you. Focus on what you need to do. And then there's an opposite where maybe God did call you to shake up some things, especially if you're a leader of leaders. Maybe God did tell you to raise up your voice and to say something, and you're losing the plot because you're not even using your voice. You're not using your voice for good. Y'all, I'm about to get out of here because I actually have to go to my own leadership class right now. And so we talked today about not losing the plot. And the number one thing we talked about is making sure that whatever people group God has assigned you to, make sure that you're loving them well. A lot of us have lost the plot in this. I'm guilty of this as well. When I just focus on, oh, I need to get this information. I need to get this date. I need to get these numbers. And God's like, can you just show love and see what will happen if you just be like, okay, I love you. And there's even instances where I had to tell people that I love them because I thought me disciplining them or me doing something was showing them that I love them. And they were like, no, ma'am, that's not what I think this is. But when I actually said it out loud, people began to receive it. And the number two thing I talked about was, good to see you guys, putting a timeline on people's growth. You're losing the plot. God didn't ask you to put a timeline on when people were going to grow. He didn't ask you all that. All he told you to do was to be available, to be a vessel. Don't get frustrated with people. And I work with children. So it's like, God shows me this every day. Like, I just got to, okay. You just have to just let God work. And if whenever they grow, whenever it clicks for them, because things click for us at different times of our life. What you got to do is just continue to pour. continue to just lead, continue to give people what it is that God's placed in you. The number 3 thing I said is staying too long. Sometimes God told you to get out of a situation and you want to stay in the situation because for whatever reason. God's like, get out. Like, this person is abusive. This person is full of betrayal. This person is not good for your mental health. And you want to continue for whatever reason. And God said, maybe because you're so merciful, you're so kind. And maybe a lot of us are wired that way. And so now God's like, okay, get out. Or, you got to tell them, you got to correct them. Stop letting them run over you. And then I talked about negative self-talk and some other things because I was just flowing here. So negative self-talk, we got to avoid being super self-critical, being harmful to ourselves, not forgiving ourselves when we do make these mistakes, and just owning up and taking accountability and not paying attention to what God is trying to show us in the midst of things. Even if we're getting frustrated, if we're getting angry, there is a lesson to be learned, because I know for sure that you're not going through something by accident. What it is that some of us are not sensitive enough and we're not reflective enough. You're not sitting and reflecting on your day and reflecting on where God has you. And this is me too. I get so wrapped up in like, oh, this is what I wanted to do. This is not what I asked for, God. And then he's like, I'm trying to develop something inside of you. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to do a good work in you. We love to talk about how God is doing the work in us. We love God. Oh, God, do work something out in me. And then when he does it, we get angry because we don't like the tools and we don't like the mechanisms that he's using, right? We get upset because it's like, nah, we say, oh, God, please, I want to be a more patient person. And then he uses certain mechanisms and we get upset. We get flustered. We get angry. And then we jump out of the process early because we're upset. And so making sure we're not losing the plot and these things. Good to see you, Miss Kelly Jones. Love you. Good to see you, Guyana. Good to see you, Guy. And if you're watching this, let me know that you watch. Oh, also, I'm going to jump out. I told you all I have my own leadership classes that I go to, but I want you to join us. If you're not part of our Responsible Leaders Grow community, I'm going to drop the link. I want you to be part of our Responsible Leaders Grow. We have a Responsible Leaders Pray. We have a Responsible Leaders Grow community. And in this community, we talk about leadership development for kingdom leaders who want to have the soft skills. One of the things that we're recognizing is that people don't have these soft skills. And I know this because when I took my grad school program, I was actually getting introduced more to these soft skills like emotional intelligence, time management, conflict resolution, just being able to manage teams, right? Because a lot of us, the problem is it won't really be technical. There's a lot of people that are talented, but they don't know how to handle people. They're not able to be relationship oriented and task oriented and balance those things. And so we talk about these soft skills and how to develop them. And it's actually only $20 a month. We have it on sale for the month of May. So make sure that you jump into our community, and you can unsubscribe whenever you want, but I teach live twice a month. So I am live in the room with you all. So you can join us for our leadership classes, and you can tell us about the leadership issues that you are even having within your own community. And we would love to help you with that as well. I've trained people for many years now. And I tell people this story all the time. I actually have been formally studying leadership since I was in the 10th grade. I went to an awesome school where they had a leadership class as an elective, and my guidance counselor put me in that class. I was the only 10th grader in that class. She pulled some strings because it was only for 11th and 12th graders. And so I've been formally studying leadership. And so my goal is to make sure that as kingdom leaders, we have both the technical and the soft skills to be able to dominate in our destiny and to prosper in our purpose. And so if you want to grow in understanding more about conflict resolution, if you need to grow in your time management skills, because I love talking about that as well. If you want to grow in emotional intelligence, if you want to be a person that is able to build up other people and to love people like a leader, all of us are growing in that, but our community continues to remind us and continues to call us up higher, because where you are called to, you want to be a leader that leaves a honorable legacy. So make sure that you join us in that community. We're doing something very special for the month of May. We're going to jump into May soon. And so make sure that you jump in for that price to lock yourself in. All right. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments what questions you all have about it. Please let me know if you have any questions about this particular live video. I'm out of here. It's good to see you all. We'll be on Tuesdays for our leadership talks until further notice. So love you all like a leader. Have a good rest of your night. Goodbye.